Welcome to today's webinar with Evee. I am Leila, one of the campaign managers here at Birchal. And just before we get started, I would like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land I'm based on today. Birchal is based on the lands of the Wurundjeri people of the Kulin Nation, and we pay our respects to the elders, past, present, and emerging. Birchal is today working with Evee on a crowdsourced funding offer. The information and discussion presented on this webinar is for informational purposes only, should not be considered as advice or recommendation to invest. Please always consider the offer document and the general CSF risk warning before investing. Everything is going to be available on birchal.com. Now, how today's session is going to run. Slava is going to take us through some pinpoints about the business that is going to be going for around 20 minutes, if I'm not mistaken. And we're going to learn about how the idea came about, numbers they have achieved so far, and also the plans after this raise. After that, we're going to switch to a Q&A session. If you look at the bottom of your Zoom screen, you see a little Q&A bubble. If you have a question during the session, please pop it there on the box and we'll answer at the end. Lastly, we are recording this session, so if you have to jump off, it's absolutely fine. We're going to send a recording right after this. That's all from me. Now I'm very happy to introduce Slava.
Amazing. Thanks very much, Leila. My name is Slava. I'm the founder and CEO, and thank you everyone who's attending now and everyone who's expressed interest so far in our crowdfunding campaign. I also wanted to introduce Yash, our non-executive director at Evee as well. So he's been a big supporter since 2017, but most recently joined as a non-executive director as well. Yash, maybe you can quickly introduce yourself as well to the audience.
Yeah, hi everyone. It's a real pleasure to be here with everyone, and we hope you get a lot out of today's session. We're excited to be able to share with you what we're doing at Evee.
Great, thank you. We're also waiting for COO Kirsty to join in. She's been having some Zoom issues apparently, but hopefully that can be worked out by Leila shortly. In the meantime, I will introduce the company, when we started, and just walk you through the progress that we've made over the last several years since we launched. So really the idea came about in around 2015 when I saw that the uptake that electric vehicles were really becoming efficient and technologically advanced enough to overtake and replace eventually petrol cars. But there was a couple of issues with them at the time. Predominantly, Tesla were really pushing the envelope on the technology and working on the electrification of vehicles, but they were extremely expensive. So back in 2015, I thought, what can we do as a company to really democratize access to electric vehicles and make them more affordable, more accessible? So Evee started as a fleet car rental company at the time. So we thought we would finance a fleet and start renting them out to hopefully expose more people to the platform, and hopefully make more people excited about the electric transportation. I'll introduce Kirsty a little bit later. She just joined in, luckily, but I'll just continue with this and then give her a couple of words to introduce herself. So we started with a small fleet of vehicles, started renting them out in 2016. That was probably the first Tesla that was available for rent at the time. We grew that small fleet to about 3 vehicles, but soon realized that financing a larger fleet of 100,000 plus electric vehicles just wasn't financially viable. So we started working towards a peer-to-peer marketplace, the first version of which was launched in September 2017. This is when we started inviting existing electric car owners to join the platform and join the movement and start renting them out. So that was really achieving 2 goals. On one hand, it was reducing the cost of ownership for the existing electric car owners because they could rent them out, generate rental income, reduce the cost of ownership. And on the other side, we could launch and scale the platform more quickly in more locations because we weren't dependent on our own fleet at the same time. There was a couple of major challenges throughout the first years of the company, which we've successfully overcome. Number one was lack of insurance, and then it's prohibitively high costs as well. So just to give you an idea, in 2016, it cost us $12,000 to insure a single car with an $8,000 excess, which once again just made the whole financial proposition very, very difficult. Throughout the first 3.5 years, we continued the negotiations and finally managed to bring the cost of insurance down to about $2,500. And most recently, actually just since the 1st of April this year, we've made another milestone progress with insurance. Now the owners don't need to switch their policy to our commercial rental policy. They can remain on their existing preferred private insurance policy and still rent out their vehicles. So we only provide the rental portion. We cover them for the rental duration. So that also improves the flexibility, and I'll probably elaborate on this a bit further during the Q&A. Just going back to our story, that insurance breakthrough in 2019 really enabled us to get more vehicles on the platform. We started increasing the numbers quite rapidly. So today we have 240 vehicles. At our previous raise, CSF equity crowdfunding raise about 12 months ago, there was about 150 vehicles at the time. So that's the growth so far. And each new vehicle, as I said, can be added fairly quickly to the platform. In terms of the capital raising story so far, so we were very lucky to be supported by a number of angel investors early in the journey. So that was between 2020 and 2022. There was several angel investors who invested a total of $310,000 in convertible notes. A year later, in April last year, we ran our first equity crowdfunding campaign on Birchal, which was a great success, and we oversubscribed our $1.6 million raise. Since that happened last year, we decided to open the opportunity again this year to more investors to participate early in our growth journey. So this is probably a very kind of fast-forward overview. I'm sure there will be questions about competition, which I'll be happy to answer as well. But generally speaking, I prefer these webinars to be more Q&A focused. I hope the audience agrees as well. I'm sure we'll cover more, and yeah, please feel free to just add your questions to the chat. Before we go ahead though, I wanted to introduce Kirsty from our team as well, who joined the company in 2020, if I'm not mistaken. 21. I think it was basically at the time when we started experiencing this rapid growth, and we needed some systems within the company to ensure scalability, to ensure that we can grow the team. So Kirsty's been absolutely a key team member to ensure that we can scale the company as well. Kirsty, maybe you can introduce yourself quickly and talk a little bit about your background as well.
Sure. So I'm an operator and I believe in sustainable operations. So I was very excited to join the team three and a bit years ago now. I've been COO at a couple of companies, both stateside. So I was in New York before I relocated to Australia. I was also a company founder myself. I had a fragrance subscription business in the US, which I built up for 5 years and then actually sold in 2021. As well. So my love of startups and creating sustainable operations kind of was married with also my passion for finding solutions to the climate crisis. And I think that what we've achieved with Evee has been really impressive so far. And I, absolutely dedicated to living out our mission, which is accelerating the adoption of EVs for a cleaner future for all. One of the proudest moments of the 3 years working at Evee is our customer impact survey results, which was having a look at how we influence people who have come through on our platform. So the majority of renters have never driven an electric vehicle before. So a lot of them coming through, this is their first experience. And I think that the barriers to adoption have included that people have been unsure about, will this car get to work and back on one charge? And is range anxiety a real thing? And I think our hosts have been these real ambassadors for electric vehicles. They've been able to, dispel some of these myths, really help educate our renters. And we're seeing that a big chunk of our renters now are coming through and trialing vehicles to actually go on and purchase. So I think that those results, when we looked at it in terms of the increased preference to purchase a vehicle, and then actually the percentage of people that have gone on to purchase a vehicle once they've used our platform, I think that kind of makes us realize that we are contributing to the electrification of transport and the adoption of these climate solutions. So yeah, that's kind of our why, our guiding star, and biggest reason why I'm at Evee.
Amazing. Thanks, Kirsty. Just very quickly off the back of it, I didn't mention some of the key figures as well. So that's, Kirsty was talking about the impact and the customers. We've served more than 10,000 customers now. That's a total of, that's over 22,000 rental days as well. And this is basically our impact so far. And we are very much a community-based company, marketplace enabling this current and future transition to electric transport. So
can I jump on and ask a question to Christy? You're mentioning that the database and you have over 10,000 customers now. Which sort of data do you have on this database? How old are they? Where are they located?
In terms of who our customers are? Yeah, I mean, we have a lot of information on kind of who the renters are, and obviously the hosts. We have location details. New South Wales is our biggest market, Victoria, and then WA in terms of bookings. In terms of demographics, we have done a study on who these people are. It's a couple of years old now, and I think that we've evolved so much in that time that we're ready to understand a bit more about who, like, individual demographics. We have done a recent customer survey in terms of why they're using our platform. So we understand that 40% of people are coming through doing extended test drives. Actually, leisure and travel is the largest category. And beyond that, it's like really understanding like why they would pick us over other platforms. So we understand that a big chunk of our users are actually choosing sustainable travel. That actually is very important to them. And then in terms of like location and cost as well. So we're understanding the kind of the motivations, which is then reflected in kind of our marketing channels. And then, we understand kind of where they are located. I can also speak anecdotally. I have my own car on the platform. I've had 50 renters come through to date, Yash as well. And it's a real mix. Like we have, I have young couples who are just going up to the Blue Mountains for the weekend and want to have an adventure on the way where they drive, but people using it for business, going to get down to Canberra and back for a couple of days. There's individuals in their 40s and 50s, families as well. We're actually releasing a partnership with a child seat fitting company, which is exciting because we found in our recent survey that 11% of our customers would actually be interested in the service. So this is actually rolling out in the next few weeks. It's quite diverse in terms of who, but yeah, definitely in terms we've really got a handle on the why, because with increasing competition, not just in car sharing, but in car rentals, it's like we've got to understand why people would choose us and kind of really lean into that. The impact is really important. That's why we decided to go for B Corp certification. We are the only car rental company in the APAC region who has B Corp certification. We are a carbon neutral organization. We're just about to renew for our second year, which is exciting. And it really runs through every facet of the business, the way that we do things. We put transparency, accountability, the way that we treat our suppliers and our customers and also our employees is very considered. And I think that this is a new way of doing business as well, that we actually are putting the impact of how we treat our stakeholders at the heart of how we run our operations. So I think that's definitely a point of difference.
Yeah, thank
Great.
you. Yeah, I wanted to add a couple of things if you don't mind, just operationally, just to better, for the new investors to better understand our operations. The average rental on the platform is around 3.5 days. So we provide a service where someone comes in, whether it's at the airport or they rent a vehicle at their preferred location, and they really kind of go away for a road trip or test drive the car as a, you know, as an experience, wanting to understand how electric vehicles work better. So it's not similar operationally to more kind of on demand, quick, you know, rentals that are, you know, 2 to 3 hours in longevity. Hence, our average transaction is higher than, you know, kind of on-demand services as well. So, you know, over the last year, probably varied anywhere between $450 and $600 per transaction. Like I said, duration is about 3.5 days. It's a bit lower in winter. It's a bit shorter in winter, longer in summer. And also, interestingly, about 35% of our customers in that most recent survey reported that they rented as an extended test drive. So these are really the people that are new to electric vehicles. They want to understand them better. They want to understand whether they fit their lifestyle, but going and having a 20-minute test drive is just not enough for them to understand, because they don't get to charge it. They don't get to take it on a freeway, on a road trip. So for these kind of customers, we've recently launched a few partnerships to cater to their potential electric car purchasing needs as well. So these include novated leasing, finance partnerships, also energy companies. So we're offering them energy plans through our partners as well. And also Kirsty spoke obviously about the sustainability goals and, you know, the how we choose to ethically run the business compared to traditional car rental businesses. I think a really good metric here is just the Net Promoter Score. Currently, we're sitting at 89, which is really high, with an industry average of just 5. So car rental is notoriously not a great experience when it comes to customer service, customer experience, and we're really changing that narrative. So this is how we stand out as a brand as well. So.
I think as well, Slava, if I can just also add, I think the opportunity right now is to help people along that whole journey from one, trying and finding, but then ensuring, and then equally purchasing. And so we believe there's value and opportunities for us along the way throughout, rather than just rental as well. And so we see, as we go along, with such a small percentage of adoption right now, that the opportunity for the company as well is to grow the whole market and have opportunities to earn money during that process as well. So to be commercially, successful in each one of those. And so we feel there's a long way to go, given there's such a small uptake here, and equally across the globe, we believe there's opportunities in this space.
And it's interesting that the OEMs, so that the car manufacturers, are taking note of this. So in the last year, we've been having increasing conversations with actually the car brands, because they see us as this great marketing platform. It's a really like neutral space where buyers can kind of connect with owners of vehicles and understand it. What is this EV like to own? And actually they go on to purchase. So we have a couple of partnerships coming up, which is exciting, because to date, we've been very Tesla heavy. We don't want to be a Tesla rental platform. We want to be an electric vehicle rental platform. And that's very much because of the saturation of Teslas here in Australia. But there's some really exciting models coming, and especially with new legislation supporting that. We're really excited for kind of how we can evolve with all the different manufacturers now kind of looking to get into the Australian market.
Best answer I've ever seen. We've been answering that for 10 minutes and I love it, every second of that. One investor is asking, what is going to be the impact for renting EVs when EV cars becoming cheaper?
Yeah, it's definitely, as we previously mentioned, there are additional sources of revenue that we can generate. So we are expecting that the average transaction will go down. That's just the natural order of things. Technology is becoming more ubiquitous, is becoming cheaper. New electric vehicles coming to the market are becoming more affordable as well, which is aligned with our mission ultimately to transition to electric transport. We most recently launched a damage liability reduction product called Evee Protect. So previously we used to send our customers to reduce the rental liability to a third party. It was a bit of a cumbersome process. We were reliant on a third party, so it wasn't great. Right now, we've taken that internally, and that's already generating significant additional revenue as well. So since we launched just last month in March, 30% of our customers have taken it up, and it's generating probably about a third of our overall commission as well. So it's quite exciting. Why this is important with the reducing rental rates is because reduction of damage liabilities doesn't depend on the rental rate. So the damage liability across all vehicles today is a minimum of $6,000, and it goes up to $10,000 for premium and performance electric vehicles, which is comparable and competitive with traditional car rentals as well. And even if you're renting a $50 a day, small electric vehicle, there's still an opportunity for us to increase that overall purchase size by adding Evee Protect as well as other add-ons that we're working on as well.
Beautiful. Slava, we had a few questions about what else happened after your last round with Birchal. You obviously mentioned the growth in the fleet, but what else would you like to mention now?
Yeah, absolutely. So growth of the fleet, we're currently at 240 vehicles. The number of customers has grown to 10,000 rental days, 22,000 rental days. We've achieved B Corp certification, and probably the insurance milestone is a really, really important one. Throughout the last 12 months, we really focused on developing the product. As I mentioned, Evee Protect is one of the latest releases, but we also, during that time, improved the search process of the platform. Once again, similar to traditional car rental companies where the booking process is a bit cumbersome, it's really simple and easy on Evee, and we're continuing to improve that all the time. So we improved the search, added the filters for different vehicles, general efficiency of the search as well, redesigned all of the core pages now. That project took probably in total of 2 years, to be honest, but now we're completely done with the full redesign of the platform. So it's all consistent, beautiful, easy to use. We've also, okay, so this is probably on the product side of things. There was another important feature that we launched called instant booking. So up until about September last year, all bookings were happening in 2 stages. So a renter would request it, and then the owner could either accept or decline, which resulted in some of the bookings actually being declined. Now with the instant booking feature, the owners can opt in to just immediately accept the booking request. So that improved efficiency and the number of bookings that are accepted as well.
And I could talk a little bit about the instant booking again from kind of anecdotally my own vehicle. You can set, as a host, you can set the amount of hours you allow from a booking to a booking starting. Considering I work at Evee, I want to experiment with this and have the lowest amount, so it's an hour. I once got a booking. The guy had just landed from a flight from New Zealand. He was on the tarmac. He booked the car to be dropped off at the airport within an hour. So I got in the car. I met him in arrivals. He walked out with his luggage, and there it is. I think that's something that car rental companies can't offer. Obviously, not every host can offer this because some hosts are, doing this around their other jobs. But it's very interesting case study, and we're really happy with the results of people engaging with that because it's offering more flexibility for people who want to book last minute.
Yeah, just wanted to anecdotally speak as well because I both rent out the vehicles that I have as well as rent them from other people. So I was traveling a bit in Brisbane and Melbourne over the last month, so met quite a few, 3 of our hosts. It's just and 2 of them didn't know that I was the CEO of the company. I don't go completely undercover, but I prefer not to just mention that. So it was just really interesting to speak with them, about their experience. And every time the experience is just very, very personalized because these, you have the owner's mobile number. You never get that with a traditional car rental company. You can chat with them. You can say, hey, I'm a bit delayed. The flight is a bit late. They wait for you at the arrivals at the airport. So it's just very, very personal. So yeah, I mentioned some of the product updates that we've been working on, some of the achievements in terms of growth. Marketing has also been our focus, as we described in the previous equity crowdfunding campaign as well. So we hired a marketing manager in September last year and really had a really strong marketing campaign going towards the end of last year. We completely revamped our email marketing approach, so it's a lot more automated. It's we got different customer groups and we have different approaches to them as well, how and when they receive all these automated marketing campaigns. User-generated content has also been really helpful for us. So we've been working with a number of online influencers, creating their own content by using our vehicles, and then we would use that content further in our digital advertising approach as well, so putting some advertising money behind it. And also we ran what was relatively new for us, ran a few co-marketing campaigns. Probably a couple of most successful ones were with July Luggage. That was at the end of last year. That campaign alone on socials generated 1,000 subscribers to our database. And most recently, during the B Corp months, there was a campaign amongst several B Corps, and that generated another 3,000 subscribers to our database. So now we have this ongoing marketing approach to grow our subscriber base, as well as retention, and we will continue working on some really exciting new marketing strategies as well.
And I think just to add there, the biggest thing that we are about to launch on the marketing side of things is a loyalty program, because we believe that we've got this very unique model, that it's very personalized, it's very different from the kind of cold experience of going to a Hertz desk, for example. But still, at the end of the day, it's going to get a lot more competitive. There's going to be a lot more players. So how do we stand out? And if a car is a car is a car, then really the loyalty program is really going to stand out. So that's going to be around kind of a points or kind of a stamp card model, and we'll kind of gamify it. And we think that this actually could really stand out, that people would actually, if they are considering multiple different options for renting a vehicle, if they're locked into a loyalty program with us, they'll always kind of give us preference. And then there's also the fact that there's a sustainability part of us being a B Corp and our give back strategy and our carbon neutrality. So and excellent customer service, which we don't feel that our competitors are always at the same NPS standards.
Mm-hmm. I think just to add to that as well, look, the idea is to remove friction in here and provide that best experience. And I think being targeted in the EV side of things, understanding how that works and be able to help people along that journey is a big part of EV as well, rather than just giving someone a product that they don't always know how to use that. And the education will improve. And that's some of the things we're also looking at with sort of future partnerships as well, which is really around integration with car parking, with charging at the same time. And so we're really seeing the future of electrification or autonomy as EV being a really critical part of that, to allow people to share their vehicles, but equally participate in this happening, but equally subsidise the cost of doing that. And so, we feel really strongly about that.
Cool. Christy, we had so many questions, but one of them was, how did you get home from the airport after that day?
I saw that question from Lisa. Hi, Lisa. I got in an Uber Green. So we actually, the hosts have the ability to charge extra for airport delivery. So as a host for myself, that's something I charge extra for. It covers me to get an Uber Green home, and just ties in, my time. I actually, as a host, I offer free delivery and pick up from the airport for a 7-day rental, because we know that airports is the key location that people are searching for. And this is something else that we're really going to be that's on our roadmap for this year, is how can we create more of a hub around the airports. We do a great job of people wanting to book a car from their neighbour. They don't want to have to schlep to the airport if they're going away for the weekend and renting a car. And I think that will always be a use case. But if we really, at this point, going to scale even bigger, like we're thinking of ways about how we can actually expand on airport delivery, because that's where a lot of people are picking up cars. But most of our hosts offer airport delivery for an extra fee.
Awesome. Really good question, Lisa. And she's also asking, is that sustainable and profitable for you to operate that way as a car owner? And I think all of you can speak on behalf of that.
In terms of delivery to the airport, yeah, and I think it has to. You know what, there is some commitment as a host in terms of time. You know, I spend a good 45 minutes with someone if they haven't driven an electric vehicle before. There's cleaning time, charging as well, because I'm an apartment based, so I need to go and charge it. So there is, as a host, there is some time, and you need to factor that in when you're looking at the money you can make from your vehicle. But I'm wondering where this will go when we look at Airbnb. And so obviously Airbnb started with individuals doing that kind of turnover and handover. Airbnb became more contactless in terms of the handover. And then it became that it was agencies would be handling these properties. So if you had a second home, you could actually have someone looking after it. This is something I'm quite excited about. As we grow as a business, will it get to the point where we're creating micro businesses of people that are actually looking after multiple cars in the neighborhood on behalf of hosts? I personally would pay for that. If it means it's kind of just out of sight, out of mind, somebody else is handling that, would be great. At the moment, it's, you know, it doesn't feel too much work to do that. And it's not every booking is an airport drop off anyway.
I'd just like to add a quick thing there, Kirsty, as well, which is we had a recent booking as well where I actually dropped the person at the airport to the actual where they were getting off, and they're like, this is actually a lot easier for us than having to return this and doing these other activities, and they were dropped off. And so I think this is one of the key points of the community and people, and I've had multiple people want to have that experience again because it's an easy experience for them. And so that's where we start to see this repeat usage and relationships building that way in a similar manner to what happens with Airbnb, where people find properties that they like and they keep going back, and it's just easier and it works for everyone.
Imagine having a venture capitalist dropping you off in the airport. That's the ultimate VIP experience. Slava, you mentioned an improvement in insurance costs. Is that going to be passed to the users in lowering the prices or fees, or is going to be saved for increased margins?
Good question. So it's more of an operational improvement rather than the cost saving. I'll put it that way. So previously, as I said, every electric vehicle owner, in order to rent their vehicle out safely, would need to switch to our insurance policy, and that had a few challenges and barriers just in doing that. People are generally, not very willing to change their insurance policy. On top of that, our previous policy didn't cover, for example, windscreen. There was no zero excess windscreen coverage. There were limitations in terms of the age of drivers on the policy. The excess wasn't variable, it was fixed. There wasn't a grid value on the vehicle. So there was all these many different questions that prevented many of the owners from joining the platform. So now all of these barriers have basically been removed, which allows us to onboard more cars on the platform basically instantly. And it's already been, we've seen a reduction in how many booking requests get declined. So the number one reason for declined requests used to be these insurance challenges. It's no longer existent. There is no real savings to us as a company to doing so, apart from the fact that the owners now can choose a more affordable personal insurance for themselves. So, as a host community, they can go out and research the market, and generally speaking, personal insurance is more affordable than rental one. So there's a saving, just personally. We are working on a partnership. Unfortunately, we just couldn't roll it out prior to this announcement on the 1st of April, but we're continuing to work with a company that should allow us to offer personal insurance to the owners just based on the per kilometer usage of the vehicle. So ideally, we would love to offer this to the owners so they are only paying for their personal use, and when the vehicle is rented out, we provide that coverage for their vehicle as well. I hope that explains how it works.
It answers pretty well. Next question is, what is the growth strategy for the next 1 to 5 years?
Great. So we internally we operate on a quarterly basis. So we every quarter we reconnect with the team, with the advisors, with the board of directors, Yash and I, and discussed the priorities for the following 3 months. So this is like short term, and we do these sprints. So as always, it's focused for us on product and marketing going forward. 1 to 5 years from now, that's a big stretch, right? In 1 year, we will most likely just continue the growth within Australia and New Zealand. One of the priorities for this year will be allocating more budget to New Zealand operations as well. Over the last 12 months, it's been somewhat overlooked compared to Australia, but we see there's a big opportunity there because it's a very popular travel destination between the two countries, and there are actually more higher uptake of electric cars in New Zealand as well. And very popular travel destination also. So that would be number one. In 5 years, we would definitely love to replicate our business model in other geographies as well. We are very conscious that this will require additional capital. So in parallel to us raising the CSF campaign and inviting more investors, I'm continuing conversations with corporate investors and VCs to support our further expansion to new markets as well. So the business model is scalable. We are only really limited by the local regulations around car sharing and insurance requirements, as well as the overall electric vehicle uptake. But as a service, as a platform, it's very much scalable itself.
Cool.
And I think that's the overall thing here. Get it right here and go global from here is really what we think, and making sure you know, we have opportunities all the way along that, not just car rental. And I think that's one of the critical things for our growth is going to be making sure we can monetize the value that we add in each one of those phases.
Awesome. You touched base on the number of users, but we had a question about how many hosts do you currently have?
So 250 vehicles, that would be across about 200 hosts. You know, Kirsty previously mentioned about supporting micro businesses. We already have some success stories from, you know, someone starting out to rent one of their vehicles. We have this amazing host in Victoria who joined. He was one of the first ones, probably 2019, with a Tesla Model 3 when they just started to come in. Now he's got 3 vehicles, you know, 2 Teslas, 2 BYDs, and one, I forgot.
He's got 3 BYDs. He's got the
3
van.
Okay, 3 BYDs and 2 Teslas. So continue to rent them out on the platform, you know, really supportive. And that really shows how, you know, we can support these micro businesses for growth as well. So, and also to add to that, when I say 240, these are only the active vehicles right now. Throughout the years, we've actually onboarded more than 800 cars. It's just that each vehicle has a life cycle on the platform. You know, actually, I don't have an average for me straight away. You know, some of them last just for a few months. They sort of see what it's like. It doesn't work for them. Others stay with us for literally 7, 8 years. You know, the very first owner who listed his Tesla Model X in 2017 is still with us, and it's still being rented out. So yeah, I hope that speaks to that. And we're very excited. We haven't done so yet, but very excited to announce this new flexible insurance product to all of these 800 hosts who have previously listed their vehicles as well. So we haven't yet announced this to our audience. Yeah.
And I think reiterating that point, Tesla, I'm going to call you Tesla Slava. I think reiterating that point around this insurance will unlock a lot of new potential hosts. And that's been a bit of a barrier in the past. And I think this is where we're going to see, one, a proliferation of cars, but also hosts. And so we see, you know, that being a real point for growth in terms of having more cars on the platform. And the more cars we have, the more renters available across Australia.
And I see a few hosts that are on this call today. So, you know, I just want to explain that for us, it's like, you know, we have such a responsibility that if we haven't increased hosts, that means we really need to increase the rental days, because we can't, you know, we've got a responsibility to both communities. So for us, it's like, it's the challenge of a marketplace, that chicken and egg. It's like, you know, you want both the renters and the hosts to grow at the same rate. So there's enough still utilization happening of all the vehicles, but, you know, this is a challenge we're prepared to take on. So we know that naturally the host community just grows. It's like we've done very minimal marketing of kind of anything, and it just like we had like 5 vehicles join like in the last month. It's insane. So it's just that's with no marketing beyond that. So how do we continue to kind of support that growing host community by ensuring that they've got max utilization?
I think brings us to the next question. If we are doing any aggressive marketing like Menulog on YouTube, and the investor is asking because he has a few friends who owns EVs and didn't know about EV yet.
Yeah, I mean, this is the thing. It's like when people hear about our business, they're like, that's such a cool concept. And then they use the platform and they love it. It's like consistent 5-star reviews across the site. And then have a look at Trustpilot, have a look at Google reviews. It's like people love what we do. And I think that's really testament to the customer service we support as well. And also the hosts are awesome and they give this great experience for people renting for the first time. But not enough people know about us. The car rental industry in Australia is $2 billion a year. You know, even if we were tapping just, I don't know, 1% of that, you know, because not everybody's going to want to drive electric and not everybody will want car sharing, just as not everybody wants to stay in an Airbnb when they travel. Airbnb has 20% of travel accommodation. 20%, we'd be very happy with that if we had the 20% of the $2 billion Australian car rental market. So yeah, it's definitely what we call a top of funnel issue. More people need to know about us. They're going onto the site, they enjoy the platform, they find the cars, good pricing, they enjoy the experience, they book again. But we need to definitely be putting more marketing into that top of funnel, which is awareness. How can we get more people in Australia and New Zealand knowing that we exist?
There are a few to add to that. We're working on both top of funnel and sort of mid funnel marketing activations continuously. There's also obviously challenges to both and how to approach this best. I think just raising brand awareness is definitely going to be key for us going forward. But we also run targeted digital advertising on both Meta platform as well as Google Ads. This is when people really like actively searching for electric vehicles, and we're investing. I mean, from day one, we've invested in SEO as well, and we are continuing to rank really well for very specific search terms for electric vehicles and Tesla rentals, etc. So one of the challenges with the car rental industry, car rental, car sharing, is the people only rent once or twice a year on average. So, they do come back to our brand, they think about us, but this return rate customer rate is actually not that high, but it's just the nature of the business. People don't go and rent cars every 2 weeks, or like they do, like they order Uber Eats, 3 times a week. So, there's that challenge, and we're continuing to work on that, mostly, as Kirsty mentioned previously, through launching a loyalty program that's coming out soon in the coming months.
Do we have any data about the average rental period?
Yeah, I think at the beginning I mentioned it's in summer months it's around 3.5 days. In winter months it goes down to maybe 2.8 on average.
Beautiful. What has been the impact of Turo entering the market?
Yeah, interesting question. Last time we had these questions as well when we were running our campaign on Birchal. It was interesting to see. We still know that they definitely have fewer electric vehicles on the platform. We're doing the research, we're doing competitor price analysis as well on a weekly basis. So we know what the competitors are doing. Look, it's definitely taken into the market niche. Their appearance, they run very heavy marketing campaigns. They're able to sponsor a event on Bondi Beach and get some really high top level influencers as well. We don't have that capacity, so we have to be a bit more hacky, a bit more hacky really with our marketing approach. So just trying to find new customers using our internal resources as well for marketing campaigns. So the market is becoming more competitive, and we have hosts that are renting out their vehicles on both platforms as well. The general sentiment that we're hearing from the hosts is number one, they like our brand because it is Australian, because it is a B Corp, and all the ethical certifications that we had, but also because the type of renters that they get through our platform is just a bit more dedicated to electric vehicles rather than a general kind of, I just need to rent a car and it happens to be electric, So the type of community we're building, I think, is a bit different to them. The car sharing overall is probably going to continue to grow, as it did in the US where Turo launched, in other markets as well. I'm generally just excited about the competition because it's an opportunity for everyone to improve. We're looking at the pricing strategies as well. And once again, we differentiate ourselves on just being more transparent with prices, to our customers. When you search for a vehicle on Turo, none of the insurance is not included in the price. We feel that's basically, it's our responsibility to provide a safe platform. We can't rent out vehicles that are uninsured. So that's one point of difference. When it comes to the hosts, if your vehicle is damaged by a renter during our booking, we make sure to provide you with an electric accident replacement car. Our competitors just give you a daily, kind of allowance to rent any kind of vehicle. So we will continue to differentiate based on these electric vehicle specific features. And
I think there's something to be said that it's, because this was the question 12 months ago, because Turo just entered the market, and obviously Uber car share are here as well. And it's like, they've got a lot of ad dollars, right? And this is helping us because car sharing is fairly new for Australia. And I think Uber car share actually did a report when they launched that the majority of Australians didn't know what car sharing was. And we're relying on them to use all their ad dollars to educate people about this mindset switch, that you don't have to go with the traditional car rentals. You don't have to get a car all similar from what you booked online. You don't have to stand in line. You don't have to fill in all this paperwork. You don't have to pay for all these extras. There is another way. So in a way, they're creating the category for us. They're helping to educate people about car sharing. And I think it would be worrying if there wasn't anyone else in car sharing, because that would make us wonder, well, is there a market? Is there room to scale? So I think it's, for us, it's like, yes, we've got an eye on what they're doing. But I think it's like, for us, we always come back to like, well, who are we? How do we do things differently? How can we protect what we're doing and also grow from that and piggyback off all the marketing they're doing? It's great.
And I think I'll just add another thing from a investment. If you look at the valuations of those kind of companies, I think, we can move towards that as well. And I think that's what also gives us a lot of heart. If you look at Turo's a $1.2 billion company, and if you look at some of the other. So look, this is what our ambitions are to grow and to be a global player in this. And so we feel that's also the opportunity of where we are. And sure, we have a lot of work to do to get to that point, but that's the vision of what we want to do.
I had a really good question, and a question that I had in the past as well. Do you see the charging points are sufficient in the country, or this is a holdback for people opting for an EV?
Oh, I love this question.
Well, we were discussing this earlier.
There's 6,000 petrol stations in Australia. There's 3,000 public chargers. So, we don't have a public charging infrastructure issue. We will, or we could, if, the rate of adoption is accelerated as much as it is. But I think that, the local governments and also, state governments are really thinking about this. I think there's a hell of a lot of investment from Arena going into these public charging networks. So I think this is one of the myths that definitely needs to be broken down, because it's a way of scaring people. I live in an apartment. I have, like 6 public chargers all within a few minutes drive away on public lampposts and things. I'm very lucky to live in Waverley. But it's, it's a way of putting people off from actually getting into electric vehicle ownership. Also, it's, the range of my car is 420 k's. It's like, I'm not charging it every week. I'm not traveling that sort of distance. So.
And I think I'll just add to that. I was at a Future of Cities event yesterday, And within that, there was someone there who is working on exactly that problem, which is around public car parks, being able to unlock charges, have bollards come up and down, that be part of how you park your cars and so forth. And even today, I'm traveling today. I travel straight to Sydney. I park, there's 6 charges. It's just becoming easier and easier. And I've been doing this for 7, 8 years now, and I'm seeing the infrastructure is improving. There's continual work that needs to be done in that. But we're starting to see people build these other businesses that solve this problem. And every time we have a challenge, someone comes up with solutions, which is also, I view, as an opportunity.
Yeah. Yeah, I think everyone's got an opinion on the charging as well. It's just to mention the government has invested a tremendous amount of money, the government and private sector as well, into the charging infrastructure over the last few years. Just anecdotally as well, through our platform in 2019, we had a customer who came from Italy, had never been in Australia. So that's 5 years ago, and they traveled 5,000 kilometers in 3 weeks, no problem at all. So 5 years ago, in that time, the infrastructure has, I would be surprised if it hasn't doubled, probably more than that. So it's definitely ahead of the actual electric vehicle adoption. And also to differentiate ourselves, out of our 10,000 customers, only 1 had run out of charge, and that happened literally in December last year, and it was just a perfect storm of things going wrong. They're charging, they didn't charge sufficiently overnight for some reason. They arrived at the first charge. Unfortunately, it didn't work. They tried to get to the next one, and ran out of charge on the way. They got it to the third one, and it's just like everything went wrong, everything that could be. So what we do as a company to help our customers alleviate these concerns, I feel like these are just perceived concerns about driving an electric vehicle. We actually have a charging concierge service for anyone who wants additional help in planning their trip. Our team will just research the charging stops on the way on route and suggest them where and how to charge. So and again, renting from an individual, you have this one-on-one contact with the car owner who can explain all the little details about charging the car. And they are more likely to have the adapters that you need, all the different cards and access to different charging networks as well as an individual rather than the fleet company. So
Makes sense. Thank you. We had 3 or 4 questions if you have plans to develop an app for Evee.
yeah, it's definitely been on the cards, and we talked about it at our previous raise as well. Unfortunately, we had to lower the priority for the mobile app and just focus on continuing to improve our web app. It's basically just a question of resources. We don't want to develop an app that's sort of put together half-heartedly, just so it's there. It has been requested, but we want to ensure that it's, well developed, there's sufficient functionality, and it's actually useful as both an additional marketing channel as well as useful for the hosts and the renters. So unfortunately, we actually started looking for partners or whether to develop that internally, but we realized that we just didn't have enough resources and capacity to do this well. Most recently, we discussed the possibility of just launching a very kind of low featured mobile app just for the handover process. Once again, we just need the confidence that we have enough budget to do it, and that it's actually going to improve our sales as well as number of vehicles as a number one objective. Yeah,
because the feedback is mainly from the hosts, so this is actually something the hosts are requesting, and that's for them to be able to communicate directly one-on-one, and not rather than logging in to their account, and also that handover process as well, simplifying that a bit. So like Slava said, we can potentially look at like launching a more kind of like lo-fi version, and then kind of rolling it out so it's similar to like an Airbnb app where you can kind of search vehicles within that. For us, it's like we're very proud of our website. It's very beautiful, it's very easy to use, and we don't want to rush something which doesn't have that same level of experience in an app. Then it has to be done well. So at the moment, really the focus is on growing the business, growing the renters, increasing brand awareness. And then I think this is step 2 to then actually, as a customer experience point, to develop this.
Yeah, from from what we understand, it's not a bottleneck for growth at the moment. So that's probably, kind of the overarching answer to that. Definitely, once we have the capacity, it's just we shouldn't underestimate the cost and resources required to not just develop an app, but also maintain, provide continuous ongoing improvements, releases, etc. What we do with the web app as well. But we're trying to solve these issues with the web app as well. Things that could be enabled by a mobile app. We will be releasing web browser notifications, so you would be able to just instantly see the messages and booking requests as they arrive, just through the browser notifications as well. So that will improve the communication, and then the handover as well. We'll be looking at different options too. Yeah.
It is a shame that we still have 20 questions to go, and this is so interesting. I'm really enjoying this, but we have to finish soon. Some of these questions were about valuation, share price, minimum and maximum target, and all of those questions are going to be answered in the offer phase. So if you're new to Birchal, we are in an expression of interest phase. So we're collecting feedback from investors. The team is putting together all this information on a massive document called the offer doc that contains all the information that you will need to make a decision into if you want to invest on Evee or not. So all of that is going to be available on Birchal's platform. Best way to get informed is by expressing your interest now if you haven't done that yet, so you have priority access. Before we finish, any closing remarks? I'd love to hear from all of you how people can help you, one thing that you're excited about.
Yeah, I mean, sorry, there's some really fantastic questions in there, and I just feel like I want to answer them all, but I can't do them justice. Novated leasing, we actually have partnered with a novating leasing company, and we have a product. Partnering with peer-to-peer charging solutions, ChargeHound, who's part of ParkHound. We're actually been talking with them about doing something similar. So lots of great ideas. I feel like everyone on this call is kind of aligned with what we're building here. Slava and I are going to try and call everybody on the EOI list. If we don't get to you, if you haven't heard from us, reach out to us. If you have more questions, there are always risks with investing. You need to be fully informed. We can answer anything. I think just there's no stupid questions at this point. What do you want to know? Reach out to us. We'll set up a call, and just so you can kind of understand a bit more about our vision and kind of what we're planning to do.
I'll send you guys a list of these questions as well, so you can answer them individually or put in an email, whatever you want to do. But these questions are not going to be lost.
Yeah, that would be great. Thank you. And the offer document, we're just doing the final edits on the offer document before it's completely approved, signed off on. Thank you again for everyone. To everyone for joining. Also just wanted to share, if you are interested in what we're doing, please share it with your friends, family as well. Tell them what we do, and see if they might be interested in supporting and investing in our company and our future growth as well. So thank you.
Thank you very much, team, and thanks everyone for joining.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.